Hi, this is Dr. Jillian Camwell from Troy University, and you just watched me playing the Fast Etude for Alabama's 2022 Middle School All-State Audition. This is in 6/8, and it reminded me of kind of a fox hunt. So I did select an image and played in front of maybe a very famous fox hunting scene from a very famous movie, but we just won't mention the movie's title just to be on the safe side. This is quite a quick tempo. It's marked at dotted quarter note equals 112. So you're going to be counting this in two. So counting 1, 2, 1, 2, you're going to subdivide that into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I even take this tempo a little bit slower in the video at dotted quarter note equals 100. But if you can't quite play it at my tempo, please play it even slower than that, especially while you're learning it. So that might look something like bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum. So do make sure that you are able to clap and count the rhythms throughout at a slow tempo before you attempt to play it at a quicker tempo. So a couple of challenging rhythms might be that measure 14, actually even earlier than that, even measure 3. If you count from the very first full measure, we count that as measure 1. So measure 3 and 4 with those slurs. Notice how they are slurred. They look like they're grouped 1 and or 2 and, but that is, they're broken up into groups of 3 in the measure when we count in 2 and we subdivide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The strong beats are going to be on 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we see a slurred note in the middle of that measure, it's actually slurring from beat 3, if we're counting in 6/8, beat 3 to beat 4, or the and of 1 into beat 2, the big beat 2. So that would sound like 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So we see where the slurs fall into, but we need to really keep the big strong beats on big beat 1 and big beat 2, or small beats 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So watch out for those slurs as you're counting in 6/8, especially if you're not really used to counting in this meter. Going ahead, we have measure 11. So counting again from the beginning, measure 11, we'll see this little dotted rhythm. We're going to count that. It's really hard to subdivide that unless you're counting really strictly in 6/8. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. So slowly that you could count with ands. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be the slow version. If we're playing it a bit quicker and you're used to counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, dum ba dum bum 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 dum ba dun 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 dum. So it's just a little bit of a little hitch in your step there. If we have big beat 1 on the F, and then the second F is on an and. Dum, dun, 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 dun. So you might just try leaving the G out at the beginning if you're playing this quicker. Dum, dun, 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 da, dum. Dun, da, dun, 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 da, dum. So you can certainly break it down, play it much slower with 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you're playing it a bit quicker, then you probably want to just count the F as beat 1 and the second F as the and counting into beat 2. Dum, ba dum, bum, 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 bum. And then just add the G quickly as a little hitch. Another tricky rhythm can be found with the 16th notes in measure 24 and 25. be careful that you're not placing those on the strong beat of the measure, so not on beat 2, because it comes after an eighth note rest in each of those. So if we subdivide that into 6, those start on beats 5 and 6 of the measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 1. So that's counting it out slowly. When we count it in 2, 1, ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum. When we add the forte, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum. Try to make a good echo, and it's really hard to play that at the lower octave, that low F. So we want to be nice and open, but with good air support so that those low notes speak. You want to play with enough air as though you're going to play forte, and a lot of control to play it softly. So controlling it with the corners of our mouth and not letting it come out too soft, not squeezing too hard that the notes don't come out, but playing with good air support so we can play with the piano but a good sound down low. So again, up to tempo at 24. If I'll sing the measure before, da ya da da ya da 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 ya da da ya da da. So I take a little bit of a ritardando and measures 27 and 28 just to give it a little bit more musicality and phrasing and some interest to the piece. Right at 29, or the pick up to 29, I'm right back at tempo. Right along with the importance of rhythm and meter in this piece are, of course, the correct notes, and along with that, the correct fingerings. So go ahead and look through the whole piece and make sure you're marking which F fingers in particular you're going to be using throughout the piece. I talked about that a little bit in the lyrical etude. In this excerpt, you are actually going to be using forked F or left F a couple of times instead of regular F. So if you start at the beginning, you need to mark which F fingerings you're going to do, and I'll show this on the screen, showing you ideally where you're going to play regular F and where you're going to play forked or left F. Some of you might not have a left F and you will have to use a forked F, and that's just fine. Just be aware that there will be instances where it's just way more advantageous to use regular F instead of forked F because of the placement of the notes and going from anything other than a ring finger to or from an F. So if you're playing to or from a D and going to an F, you're going to use your forked F. Otherwise, you're going to use your regular F. And of course, if you have that left F fingering like I talked about in the lyrical etude, you're going to want to use that in place of your forked F whenever possible. So I'll mark both of those fingerings down for you. Remember to take the second ending because we are not playing any repeats at the end of this piece. I do need to draw your attention to a couple of misprints in the part. If you are looking out of the Rubank Advanced Method book, which the audition pieces are taken from, there are a couple of E naturals that you need to play instead of E flats. So measure 19 and 21, you need to add a natural sign in front of the E's, so they are not E flat in those two measures, but they are E natural. So if you listen to my performance, you will hear those clearly there, and it makes better sense harmonically to what is happening. Finally, just be careful of the dynamics. Make sure that you are playing nice and strong from the beginning, but even when we have one dynamic printed for several measures, or in fact the first 16 measures, there's nothing else but forte written. You can, again, just like the lyrical etude, follow the shape of the line, and it makes much more sense musically to give yourself a little bit of crescendo and diminuendo as you go through and up and down, play and follow the musicality and give it a little bit of life rather than just one dynamic marking all the way through. And really just have fun with this. This is a fun little exercise, even if you play it under tempo. A good opportunity to show your staccato playing and some variety of dynamics and knowledge of counting in 6/8, and that's really what the judges are looking for. So your ability to count, to play, of course, the correct notes, but musically above all else. So I hope that was helpful for you today, and good luck with your 2022 Alabama All-State Middle School audition.